And always a pleasure. Thanks for the time this morning.
Yes, hi. Good morning to you, Jason, and good morning to all your viewers on CNC3.
Indeed, we're here to talk about Tobago Carnival, at least what used to be the carnival, based on all developments. I suspect, and this was a discussion I had with the political leader of the PDP on Monday, I suspect the eggs will now be put into the October Carnival basket, the October Tobago Carnival experience, because from all my reports and my investigations, and I was in Tobago on Ash Wednesday for the cool down with the Epic Cruise, they said it was just a little mud mass, something for Juve, and more or less salt, a bag of salt, nothing major transpired in Scarborough or Roxborough on Tuesday. What's your reality? What was the feedback on your side?
Well, no, you're quite right, Jason. And if you recall, I was one of the earliest proponents of the whole idea of the October Carnival. But it was a two-pronged idea that I had floated. I had indicated that, look, it's best we forget about the February Carnival and focus only on developing a carnival in October. And there's much good reason for that. Let me tell you this, Jason. Most Tobagonians who are serious about their mass and their carnival, they go to Trinidad to play mass, if you understand me. They don't even consider Tobago as having anything remotely called a carnival. So it's a farce, it's nonsensical, and it makes absolutely no sense to try to persist with this folly in February. What I have proposed and suggested instead is that you focus on promoting Tobago as the anti-carnival in February. In other words, the escape from carnival. Those who want to have nothing to do with carnival. So all your church groups, your religious groups, your scouts, your girl guides, your hiking groups, you promote Tobago for them. You say, hey, listen, you want to get away from the madness in Trinidad with carnival, come to Tobago. It's quiet, peaceful, serene, clean, green, where you could relax, rewind, recharge, for the few days. That would promote so much more tourism. You would have so many groups who look for an escape, and they're looking for somewhere easy. It's easy. They just pack their car, pack their stuff, they jump on the boat, bring your family across. So therefore, you would now have a scenario where people feel for sure, look, I am escaping all the noise, the hurly-burly, the hustle, the bustle of a carnival activity by coming to Tobago. So therefore, you get the best of both worlds, because you then now say, hey, listen, if you all missed Carnival in February in Trinidad, come to Tobago in October. So in other words, you now capitalize on those who may not have had the opportunity or the finances or the wherewithal or whatever to really participate in the February Carnival, and you now promote Tobago as the October Carnival venue. So therefore you get the best of both worlds. But to persist with this folly, where I understood you had some tourists, some visitors who were waiting hours in the hot sun in Scarborough, waiting, hoping to see a band, hoping to see some mass, hoping to see some display, and they were totally disappointed. What nonsense are we persisting with calling this Carnival in Tobago when, as you say, the most you get is a mud mass band? Come on, let's be serious. We have to understand that, look, if you are focusing on developing a product, then put all your focus in one single strategy that works, and you refine that, you fine-tune that, you improve that as you go along, rather than this scattershot approach where you're still trying to have this, mockery of mass and calling it Carnival in Tobago in February.
Well, I know that nothing really transpired this time around, but what's the feedback from your business partners, from hoteliers, those with guest house? Was the bed stock able to, I guess, heads on beds? Because, I passed by the airport to pick up some friends, and Piarco, I could tell you, it was packed to capacity. So much so people were parking outside the actual car park on the other side where they're going to develop in a couple of months. So I recognize people were flying out. And I'm saying probably, I think this is not probably a Barbados or a Grenada or Miami. I feel this could be a Tobago scenario. So what's the feedback? Was it a packed weekend in Tobago? Martin, I think you're stuck there. Let's try to get Martin back on that line. Again, just to kind of find out if indeed what he suggested is already in motion, because I know there are many, even with Tobago Carnival being part of the national calendar over the years, people would have still, they took the opportunity, some might go, let's say countryside, a Charlottesville, a Speyside. You know, you go away from Scarborough, away from Roxborough and the major hubs to get the peace and quiet. But I wonder if indeed this carnival in Tobago, people went either for the mass or the expectation of the mass, or people naturally go to run away from the excitement of the Trinidad peace and revelry. That's really what I want to establish with, obviously, Martin. But I suspect, and I told that to Watson Duke, if you recall, earlier this week, that I suspect the THA and others there in authority will put the focus and the finances and the resources now behind the Tobago October Carnival experience. But at the same speed, on the same token, it really is a heartbreaker for those who traditionally would have put out their costumes and put out something for the National Carnival experience. So Tobago, we find ourselves in a really ticklish spot, because naturally there are those, if you love your carnival, I mean, two better than one, right? You don't mind taking a jump up in the National Carnival, whether it's early February, late March, and you get a little lanny up down in October. But again, it seems again like the October experience will be the only one. As I was saying, Martin, what was the hotel and guest house capacity?
Right, yeah. It doesn't appear from the feedback we've gotten that there were that many persons coming to Tobago as an escape. Because certainly you're not going to leave Trinidad to come to Tobago for Carnival. Let's be real. You know, in February. All right, the only time you'd want to do that is October. So therefore, you don't have any incentive or motivation to say you're going to come across, because you know they still have like Jubei activities down in the Crown Point area. So if you come in for a quiet, relaxing weekend, you don't want to be in the midst of that. So therefore, I think that it is clear that the THA has to take a stand on this, and the NCC has to get involved, and we have to really decide that, look, we're having one single carnival in Tobago, which is in October. That will help to distinguish it, so therefore you can now really actually promote this as Tobago's Carnival, you know, and then now you focus on developing that rather than trying to fight up with Trinidad at the same time in February.
Martin, we might find ourselves in a little conundrum, because what's going to happen with the Panorama? Panorama is naturally national carnival.
No, it's not a difficulty. I thought of that also. In terms of the panorama, of course, yes, the panyards, the steel bands will have to do their practices in Tobago. But the point is, they have to come to Trinidad for their competitions anyhow, right? I know the medium band finals, they usually try to host it in Tobago, but that can easily be shifted to Trinidad, and the bands from Tobago, they are accustomed traveling on the boat and coming down to Trinidad. So you just do that. Pantry Tobago usually facilitates that, they make arrangements to ensure that the bands can get down to Trinidad. So you just do that in Trinidad.
Yeah. So more or less, I think the new reality is that Tobago's October product will really and truly be the carnival experience going forward.
It should be the only one. It should be the only one. And you should actively promote it as such, and promote February as a quiet, peaceful, tranquil Tobago, where you encourage persons to come and get away. So your church groups, your religious groups, your Boy Scouts, your cadets, your Girl Guides, you tell them, hey, come to Tobago, relax, get away from Trinidad's carnival, come to Tobago and relax. Then you will see heads on beds, then you will see the room stock increase, then you will see persons coming across in droves, because they will say, well, yes, this is a nice, easy escape for us. We can just jump on the boat, pack our belongings, and drive across onto the ferry, and you know the ferry will take us to Tobago.
So let me ask you, you're a legal mind also. What is to say that there are those in Tobago who might, again, in the spirit of carnival, which is revolution and to go against the powers that be, might decide, you know what, even though October we know is the official carnival, we're still going to play a mass and come out the road and come out with big truck and big come out in the mud and come out in the... Is it something that will have to be mandated legally to tell people, listen, the carnival, this you can't just take the road and just play a mass? I'm trying to figure out, for those who want those who might want to break the rule, or those who might still want to continue the traditional carnival.
Listen to it. Things like this are financially driven. So once you cut the finances, trust me, it will die. You don't need to legally mandate anything. There's no need for that at all, right? Because at the end of the day, Carnival, Monday and Tuesday are part of our national festivals designated, all right? But the point is, once there's no official financing, trust me, nobody's going to persist with it for very long. Even if persons try to, as you say, somebody might say, well, yes, I'm still coming out. Okay, right, you might do it once, you might do it twice. After that, you're getting no funding from anywhere. You're not getting any sponsorship. You're not getting any traction on the ground. Then you will stop. So I don't see that as an issue at all. Because if you recall, when you look at it, for even in Trinidad, most of the major events, competitions and stuff like that, they depend on sponsorship, they depend on financing from the government, etc. So if you cut that, that's the end of it. These organizations have not yet become self-sufficient or anything. So, in fact, I saw Pantrinbergo boasting about how much sponsorship they got, from corporate TNT. So, therefore, it's clear that they always depend upon that type of, input. So, without that, it's going to die. So, therefore, if you decide you want to put an end to it, you just cut the financial umbilical cord.
Understood. Let me ask, Tobago as a destination for festivals. I know there's a major showcase happening with Buju coming up. I would imagine is that April?
April, yes.
Right? I know there would have been jazz in the past when Clico was involved. What's your take on Tobago really becoming an epicenter for major festivals? Really wholesome family festivals. Is the potential there for that?
The potential is there for that, but the thing is, you definitely need to improve the infrastructure for it. I mean, if you look at it, Jason, internationally, persons are willing to travel to destinations for festivals, for events, even for concerts. All right. But you must ensure that you have proper infrastructure. You have to, first of all, increase your room stock. You have to ensure that you have quality rooms. You may have high flying players who want to come in, for an event. I mean, just over the weekend, I was in St. Martin, and I mean, the number of private jets you saw at that little Princess Juliana airport, I mean, it is just astounding. You've never seen anything of that number or quantity in Piaco. Never, ever. I mean, I'm talking you could see close to 100 private jets in Princess Juliana Airport at any point in time. And they just keep coming and going, like every 5 minutes. So the thing is, I'm glad that we will be opening the new airport terminal in Tobago on Saturday. So that is definitely a start. But as I've said, it is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of the journey, because you now need to ensure you get the hotel room stock up to where it should be. That is then going to now attract the airlines, and then now you will have the flights coming in. And then once you have the flights, then you will definitely have to ensure that the flights are filled with persons who now want to come to Tobago for one reason or another. That's where your event marketing, your destination marketing, your festival marketing is going to come in. And that's how you now weave them all together to ensure you have a successful tourism product. It's not rocket science. I keep saying this over and over again. The template is there. All the other islands of the Caribbean are doing it. You look at all the little islands. You look at Grenada, you look at St. Vincent, you look at Barbados, you look at St. Lucia, all of them. They know what needs to be done, and they're doing it. Look, St. Vincent, since they got that first sandals, they are now saying, wow, this thing has been such a phenomenal runaway success. We want another one. They are now asking for a second one. So, we need to understand that, look, yes, while the little mom and pop operations in terms of, a little room under your house where you do your own little bread and breakfast, that kind of thing, that's fine. But that is not going to be a major driver of tourism in any way, shape, form, or fashion. That is not going to convince Virgin Airlines to say, well, look, John Brown, I see he has 2 little apartments below his house, so I'm going to put a whole big Virgin Virgin Airline, with 200 and something passengers to come to Tobago because I know John Brown has two little, rooms below his house. We need to be serious.
Martin, thank you as always, man. Great perspective, and let's touch base soon.
Indeed. Thank you. Have a great morning.
Tobago Talks every